What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are actually going to begin our coverage over the Destiny of X era of X-Men comics. Now, the reason why I say the Destiny of X era of X-Men comics, because ever since Jonathan Hickman took over the X-Men titles back in 2018, each era had a particular name for it. So, for example, you had Dawn of X, then you had Reign of X, then you had Trial of X, and now you have Destiny of X. Now, with that being said, though, each era technically ends with some kind of event. And so when it came to Trial of X, it was technically wrapped up with X Lives and Deaths of Wolverine. And so now we must jump into a new beginning for X-Men comics, because Jonathan Hickman is no longer around when it comes to X-Men books. Now you have a new leader, Gary Dugan, who's right now trying to lead the X-Men in a new direction. Now, with that being said, today's video is all about the Marauders. Marauders Annual number 1. Now, the reason why we're covering this book right here is because it technically does wrap up the Marauders series that we had started covering, that released back in 2019 and ran up to, I want to say, 2021. But this annual technically wraps up that series, but begins the new launch for Marauders. Because when it came to Destiny of X, they want to have a bunch of new X-Men books to kind of fit in with this new era of X-Men comics. And so they like Marauders, but they want a whole new team. And so with Marauders Annual number 1, we get rid of the old team and bring in the new team, and to get us ready for the launch of a new era of Marauders books to come after this one right here. So here is Marauders Annual number 1. I do hope you enjoy. And so getting into today's storyline, we actually do pick up right now with Daken or Daken. It all depends on how you guys want to pronounce it. Either way, when it comes to this character, we have to remember that he is the son of Wolverine. Now, in the Krakoa era of X-Men comics, Daken was actually part of the X Factor team. Now guys, remember, when it comes to X Factor, they were technically a group of characters that would go around and investigate different murders that involve mutants. Now that series right there was very short-lived. Only like 10 books and that was it. Either way, this is Marvel saying, listen, he is a cool character that we do not want to waste. So let's go ahead and move him over to a different team, the Marauders. And so this begins the process of the character being moved over to a different team. Now, with that being said, right now we do see him finding a bunch of dead bodies. Now, these dead bodies actually belong to a group of mutants that Daken have been looking for. And so with them finding these dead bodies, he's kind of like, okay, I have no idea what happened here, but I need to figure it out. Now, that is the moment where he is actually attacked by an unknown character. Now, for the sake of the story, we have no idea who this character is, but apparently they were able to cause a huge explosion, and of course with all that heat, it does burn a huge amount of Daken's body, and so now his healing factor has to kick in to hopefully heal him up. But while his healing factor is kicking in, he really can't do anything at all. And so then you have our mysterious character come in, take Daken as their hostage. And so that is the moment where we actually jump over to Kitty Pryde and also Bishop. Now remember, Kitty Pryde is actually the leaders of the Marauders. But on top of that, she's also one of the big three that runs the Hellfire Club. Now remember, the Hellfire Club is technically a company that belongs to Krakoa. Now the company is being run by Kitty Pryde, Sebastian Shaw, and Emma Frost. But when it comes to the Hellfire Club, their main goal is to make sure that shipments get out, because with Krakoa now being a nation, they have trade deals with other countries. And so you do have other countries expecting a huge amount of medicine from Krakoa. And so it's the Hellfire Club job to make sure those trades are actually done. Now on top of that, the Marauders do go to different countries and try to rescue mutants, who basically can't leave their country because the government does not want them to leave. So like Russia, if you're a mutant, you're technically forced to stay in Russia, but the Marauders will come in and save you and get you out of Russia. But right now you have Kitty Pryde and Bishop talking to one another about the idea of forming a new group of Marauders, because right now they're the last two of the original group. Now, Bishop is also a captain now. Now, a captain is very important when it comes to Krakoa, because captains are the ones who are assigned into protecting the island. And so right now, he's going to have two roles, which is being a captain, but also being second in charge of the Marauders behind Kitty Pryde. But either way, they both agree it's time for a new team of Marauders. Now, the first person we actually see Kitty Pryde recruit is actually Psylocke. Now, this makes sense, and the reason why, because just like Dakin, Psylocke was on another team known as the Hellions. Now, Hellions did last a tad bit longer than X Factor did. I want to say 18 issues, but either way, that series did wrap up. But with the series wrapping up, you have Marvel once again saying, listen, Psylocke is a cool character, and so let's go ahead and move her over to a new team. Now, Kitty Pryde is here because she heard that Psylocke is kind of sad. Not kind of, she is very sad. Because let's not forget, in the Hellion series, she was trying her best to bring her daughter back to life. But at the end of that series, unfortunately, she couldn't do it. And so she's been very sad for a very long time. But right now, it's Kitty Pryde saying, join my team, because at least it will help keep your mind off that topic right there. But on top of that, when you join my crew, you're part of a family. And I know that is something you want so badly. Now, that is the moment where we do jump over to Tempo. Now, we saw Tempo in earlier books we actually covered when it comes to the Marauders series. Now, with that being said, at first, she was just there to kind of help out. Like, technically, she was a backup character. So anytime a member of the Marauders couldn't help Kitty Pryde out, she would step in. But right now, it's Bishop saying, listen, it's time for you to join the big leagues. Meaning that you're no longer backup. You're now part of the main team. Meaning that when we go on missions, you have to be there. And of course, you have Tempo say yes to the idea of joining the new Marauders team. Now, that is the moment where we do jump over to Kitty Pryde and also Psylocke. And right now we see the two characters going over to the room that belongs to Dakin. Now, the reason why they're going there because Kitty Pryde was originally going to go there to recruit him to her new Marauders team. The problem is though, she got word that technically right now he's missing, that nobody has seen him in a very long time. And so right now you have Kitty Pryde and Psylocke but they are in his room trying to find any clues that could technically help them figure out where he went to. Because again, he was reported missing. Now that's also the moment where you have Kitty Pryde get a good idea. And that good idea is to ask the person that Dakin is currently dating to see if she knows where he exactly went to. And so that is the moment we have the two characters go find Aurora. And so that is the moment where we do jump over to Canada. And the reason why, because Aurora is in Canada. And the reason why she's there because, well, one, she's from there, but two, she's also protecting a young mutant that was basically being attacked by some random guy who hates mutants. Either way, once she's able to handle that, that is the moment where she is confronted by Kitty Pryde and Psylocke, who are still looking for Dakin. Now, with that being said, they do ask her, have you seen your boyfriend Dakin? And of course, she says no. But then she says, listen, when it comes to Dakin, he does have more than just one lover, meaning that he's not just dating her, there was someone else that he was also seeing on the side. And so right now, she's saying, if you want to find him, let's go ask his other lover. And so that is the moment where we are introduced to Somnus. Now, Somnus is a very new character. I mean, he only appeared about I think at this point in my recording, I want to say 2 years ago, but he is a lover of Dakin as well. They met back in 1967 in Toronto, Canada. Now, when it comes to Somnus, he has the ability to control dreams. And what I mean by that is he's actually able to enter people's dreams, but at the same time bring their dreams into reality as well. Now, the reason why we're going to him because he is a lover of Dakin, but because he has entered the mind of Dakin before, or the dreams of Dakin, he knows Dakin very well, meaning that he should be able to actually locate where Dakin have run off to. Now we do jump back over to Dakin. Now when we do, it's Dakin right now being tortured by our mysterious bad guy. Now when it comes to our mysterious bad guy, well, we come to find out his name is Brimstone Love. Yes, that is his name. And unfortunately, I hate his name. Honestly, I hate the idea of Love being the end of his name, because I feel like if you just cut off Love and call him Brimstone, he'll be a cool character with a cool name. Unfortunately, he's a cool character with a name that makes no sense. Either way right now, when it comes to Brimstone Love, he's right now torturing Dakin, but we come to find out he has formed his own cult group. Yes, Brimstone Love has his own cult group known as the Theater of Pain. Now, when it comes to this cult group, it's technically made up of humans who are very upset with the idea of the mutants now having their own nation. And what I mean by that is these humans right here who are part of the cult group, they were technically out there supporting mutants to try to reach the goal where humans and mutants could live together in unity. Because let's not forget, that was Charles Xavier's dream for a very long time in Marvel Comics. But of course, he could never reach that goal. And now the mutants say, you know what, forget that goal, we're now our own nation and just leave us alone. And so these humans are upset because for years and years and years, they have been trying to support Charles Xavier, and now their support has basically gone to waste. And so they're now part of this cult along with Brimstone Love, going after mutants who are technically part of Krakoa. For example, Dakin right now. And so that is the moment where you do have the new Marauders actually appear. Now, when the new Marauders do appear, they are able to actually save Dakin from Brimstone Love, but also fight against Brimstone Love and his cult as well. Now, these few pages do give us the ability to kind of see the powers of Brimstone Love. Like, what is he like? What can he do? Now, we can tell right off the bat, he's actually able to control fire or even start a fire nearby. But on top of that, he can also control the earth place around him as well. Either way, he does become a very strong opponent for our heroes. Now, once Dakin is free, you have Dakin go full rage mode. And the reason why, because this man found out that there are still mutants out there who are basically the reason why mutants and humans can never work. But on top of that, there are mutants out there who are trying to ruin what they have built when it comes to Krakoa. Either way right now, you have Dakin go full rage mode and cut off one of the ears of Brimstone Love. Now, when that happens, you have Brimstone say, you know what? It's time for me to go, because if I stay here, I might actually die, or you might be able to capture me, and we can't have either one of those two things happening. And so he does use his powers to technically sink into the earth as a way to get away from the Marauders. But it seems like the day is saved for now. And so the next section is really more of the Marauders coming together and saying, this is going to be the new Marauders team. And honestly, guys, I like this team a lot. Now, unfortunately, some of these characters on this team is technically right now Marvel trying to say, hey, you know what? We hope that you guys will fall in love with every single character on this team. And if you do, we could then possibly launch a brand new series for that new character or for that character, and hopefully you'll buy the books for that series so that we will be able to make more money. Because honestly, I like Tempo. She does have a cool power, but I feel like Marvel would try to launch a 4-part or 5-part miniseries for the character known as Tempo. Either way, we now have a new Marauders team. Now that is the moment where we do see Kitty Pryde meet up with Emma Frost and Sebastian Shaw. Now when she does, this is the book telling us we have to remember all 3 characters are technically still in charge of the Hellfire Club. And matter of fact, it's Kitty Pryde saying, listen, I do have a new Marauders team, but at the same time, I can still do both roles. Lead that team, but also be one of the bosses of the Hellfire Club. Now that is the moment where you do have Emma Frost and Sebastian Shaw hand her a box. Now this box is made out of Mysterium. Now Mysterium is a new kind of metal that was basically made by the mutant race. Now here's the problem though. Even though this box is made out of Mysterium, a material that the mutant race knows so much about, this box is actually 2 billion years old. And matter of fact guys, it gets even crazier because on the box it has Kitty Pryde's name. So it's kind of like, what in the world is happening right now? Now when she does open up the box, she does find a note and a map. And that map right now telling her you have to go to this island right here to figure out the mystery of this box. And so matter of fact guys, this is where the story ends, because when we do jump into the new Marauders series, it's all about the idea of her and her new team trying to figure out where this box actually came from. Either way, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.